Eapsheni ma-Africa, Mvemnyama ke le amogetse. Today I want to speak about Stilfontein mine once again. Looks like the government has performed a miracle. Within a few days, they've managed to take everyone out of that shaft 11, and a lot of dead bodies resurfacing, and about 465 illegal miners that were brought back to the land. And this is very interesting because the Zimbabwean officials are in South Africa to try and identify and profile some of those illegal miners to see if they are Zimbabwean indeed. I'm sure if you hear me say identify, you remember the program that I'm always pushing on this channel, which is the Advanced Integrated Border System, of which if our Home Affairs Department and our police departments were integrated, there was going to be absolutely no need for us to bring the Zimbabwean department here to come and identify their own, because the integration or the centralization of information into one database would have made this whole situation a little bit easy. Then you still have, black South African politicians like Kunene who have the audacity to say, no, listen, I have no sympathy for those who died stealing our minerals. Wow. For me, when you say that, the only thing that talks about stealing minerals is our colonizers. But to some black South Africans, that only apply, of course, to our foreign African brothers here in South Africa. I also want to speak about Tonny Yengeni, who was at the Dr. Sizwe Mpofu Welsh. I mean, the man is he's of age but looks so great, and the things that he said there on that podcast was so refreshing to see him at a different light, because we always see him when people talk about him, and to hear him speak out of his own mouth was really pleasant to watch. He spoke about Cyril Ramaphosa. He spoke about the attacks that Fikile Mbalula has directed towards him, and I need us to break down that whole video so that we can understand the mindset of Tonny Yengeni. Let's talk about that and much more.
Welcome to King Said So, Africa's one land, one language, one currency, one army on King Said So. Africans can unite. Your Pan-Africanist podcast. Enjoy.
Peace in Pan-Africanism to all my African brothers and sisters from all around the world. Welcome back to King Said So. I'm your host, Kagiso Hlongwane Zinjiva Sono, and we're back at it again with another one. Got quite a few topics to cover for you guys today. I have to start with the 2nd of May, where we have invited you to come to the gala dinner of PASETA. What is PASETA? The Pan-African School of Economics, Technology and Agriculture. We are having a fundraising event weekend so that we can raise money for the first black independent Pan-African school for the coming generation. So if you are interested in coming to Kimberley, coming to see the big hole, coming to see where we are building this school, having information about all of that, having guest speakers that are going to show you how important going this direction of building our own schools as Africans, you are mostly welcome to come to the Northern Cape, and I will host you with my team, and we will be very happy to show you around in the Northern Cape. So thank you so much for the people who are buying the ticket. I see the people of the 15th, you are buying the ticket. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And everybody there of the 15th that was also sent their 50 Rand contribution. Remember, our call is to say we as Africans, we can build our own institutions without help from other races. What do we mean by that? We mean that in South Africa and in Africa at large, we can donate a mere 50 Rand because of the numbers that we have as Africans. A 50 Rand times 10,000 people times 5,000 people makes a huge difference. That's the call that we are doing to the public, to say, please donate 50 Rand so that you can contribute to this school that is going to be built for the coming generation. So thank you so much. For any information you want to know about PASETA, please visit www www.baseta.co.za. You'll get all the information there. Let's go to Shaft 11, Stilfontein, there in the Western Cape, where our government, after the High Court has ordered them to say, listen, you are breaking human rights here. There's humans underneath that ground. Those people have got a right to life and a dignity, to be treated with human rights. Go and get those people out there. They could have done this last year. What they did in this 2 days or 3-day operation, they could have done it last year. And we would have not had this huge amount of scores of people, who are unalived, unnecessary. And you remember that lady in the the minister in the presidency, who said, no, listen, she's the spokesperson. No, she's not the spokesperson. She's a ministry that's somewhere there in the presidency, in Cyril Ramaphosa's office, who said, listen, we don't care about those people. We will smoke them out. And indeed, they did smoke them out. I hope she's very happy with all of those, dead bodies that came out there. A sentiment that many South Africans share, by the way. Man, they went there themselves, let them die. But today we are going to try again to enlighten you guys. But let's first listen to the Zimbabwean officials who are here to come and help the South African government to identify some illegal foreigners who might come from their country.
We are here to work closely with the South African government to make sure that the whole process is brought to its conclusion and finality. Our major responsibility, in as far as this case is concerned, is the identification, the verification, and the profiling. So far, we want to start with the verification and identification of the 465 who have been brought to the surface alive. And using those 465, we'll try to extract as much information as possible so that we have the first... some first indication of who exactly was operating underground with those from Zimbabwe. And thereafter, we are then going to contact our head office back home, and we proceed from there. So for now, we are just taking it step by step. The first step is that immediately, we are going to do the verification and identification of the 465. As you are all aware that those who are deceased, they were not documented, so they did not have any particulars on them. I don't want to believe that all of them are Zimbabweans, but we want to make sure that we identify and satisfy ourselves as to who are Zimbabweans among those who are deceased. And then we'll take our next step in the repatriation of the deceased back to Zimbabwe so that they have a decent burial in Zimbabwe.
So according to calculations, about 465 illegal miners came out yesterday. Some of them, the additional of many, dead bodies that were brought there. Rest in peace to our African brothers and sisters. We hope indeed their corpse will meet with their family and their final destination in whatever country that they come from. We really send our condolences to everybody. Every family who have lost their loved one, father, brother, uncle there in Shaft 11. It's really not something to celebrate with. And most of you South Africans who are beating your chest and happy that those people, Antonio, they are dead because they did it for themselves. May the Lord forgive you. May the Lord forgive you. But what I wanted to speak about in this specific clip is that I advocate for the advanced integrated border system. And this is a system that can help our government, our countries, especially the 6 bordering countries that border South Africa. The advanced integrated border system is just a border system that allows department to integrate between 2 or 3 countries, or in this case, 6 countries. So what do we mean by that? We mean that South Africa will share its information with Zimbabwe in terms of home affairs. So there will be a central a central database where all the Zimbabwean population and all the South African population can be easily identified under one central database. And I'm saying it will be good if the SADC countries would have that central database, so that we don't have to, every time when there's a criminal who committed crime in South Africa, when we have their fingerprints, we have to send their fingerprints to Zimbabwe, and they have to check if that person is Zimbabwean. Then we have to send it to Mozambique, and all of that thing is unnecessary. Just centralize every information, and it is going to be easy for everyone. Now, the Zimbabwean officials, unfortunately, they are here in a bad time, in a bad light, trying to identify even some, our African brothers who are no longer here, who have unfortunately lost their lives in the hole. And this is a time for leaders to wake up and say, but you know what, that young boy King said so. What he's saying about this advanced integrated border system, maybe something that we should practice. Let's start it with Lesotho, which is a smaller country, and let's go to Swaziland, which is another smaller country. Let's see if this thing can actually work. So this is free advice to our politicians to say, you don't need to struggle the way you are struggling. Integrate your home affairs, integrate your health department, integrate your correctional service and your police department. At least those 4 departments needs to be integrated, and I'm sure information will be flowing a little bit easier from one country to another. Of course, you guys will tell me if you agree or not on the comment section. Kunene has said that he's got absolutely no sympathy in the people who lost their lives stealing our minerals. I want to break down what he said properly for you guys.
I grew up in a mining town or area that was called the Goldfields, where there was no illegal mining. Instead, people were smuggling gold, gold sent through security personnel. When democracy happened, the mining companies deliberately left the shafts. And you'd remember that they hired people from Lesotho, they hired people from Mozambique, and so on, to come and work in the mines for cheap labor. So when they abandoned these mines and left, knowing that there's still gold there, so that they could collapse a democratic government, the ANC was caught napping and sleeping because they were not ready to govern. Where I am sitting, and as the PA, we feel that the Constitution protects criminals and illegal foreigners. You look at the property rights, illegal foreigners are hijacking people's houses and buildings, and the Constitution protects them. The courts protect them. I have no sympathy for those who have died stealing the wealth of our country.
Now, in breaking down what Kunene is saying, I must say, South Africans choose to forget the history of South Africa. They deliberately choose to forget. Even when they say some things, it's like, do you understand what you are actually saying? So I want to break down what this leader from the Patriotic Alliance said, Kunene. And we understand that the Patriotic Alliance have got absolutely no political ideology in their reasoning capacity. Nothing is going to come out that makes sense out of that political party. All they can do to gravitate, support towards them is Mabahambe. If they can say that, they are done talking. Now, a person that says, I grew up in a mining town should not reason like he is reasoning. Let me tell you why. I grew up in Kimberley. Well, I came here when I was a little bit old, already in high school, but I grew up in Kimberley. Kimberley is well known for the big hole. Now, there isn't a single black person that can tell you I benefited from the diamonds that were taken from out of that big hole. The gentleman Kimberley that we named Kimberley, came here and removed the black people from the land where they were and shifted them away to the land that you know as Galeshiwe, which is the township of Kimberley. But back then it was known as Vergenoeg. If you know what the word Vergenoeg means, it means far enough in Afrikaans. They were moving the black people far enough from the big hole. Now, where my home is in Kimberley North, next to the train station. Remember, Kimberley is the first city to have the trains, the first city to have electricity. The first city basically in South Africa is Kimberley. Kimberley built Johannesburg and all of those things. Study your history, you will know what I'm talking about. Now, there where my mother stays in Kimberley, black people were not allowed to stay there. Unless you tolerate or later. If you were found walking around there late, you would be executed, abused, raped if you are a woman. You are not allowed to be in town next to the big hole at certain hours. You know what I'm trying to say. So when you understand that, you come to an understanding that we are still breaking down what Kenny said. He said the mining companies deliberately left those shafts alone. Deliberately. After he said, listen, they were employing cheap labor from other countries. So they were taking our brothers and sisters from other countries and making them work at the mines. And then because of South Africa gaining its artificial democracy, some white racist companies decided we are not going to work under Mandela, we are not going to work under the government of black people. And they left. They left the mine shaft abandoned. This is what Kenny Kunene is saying, not me. This is his reasoning. So according to that, black people lost their jobs instantly. Instantly. Remember, that time they did not care if you come from Zimbabwe or whatever. You just write your name on the job card here and you get underground and you go and work. They were not discriminating against Zimbabwe, Zambia, Mozambique. They just wanted cheap labor. And that's how they got our brothers and sisters to work underground. So that's a very important historical fact to remember. Now, after they left, they wanted to collapse our country. They wanted to say, no, listen, when we leave, mining is going to go down in South Africa. They're going to suffer and everything. Some of them did try to bomb the entrances of the mine shaft, but the main entrances were not the only, the entrances were not the main entry to the mines. So the people who worked there, they knew exactly. So those African brothers knew how to enter the mines from other angles, and they did so. And that never stopped ever since those the first illegal miners, which was our colonizers, left our country. I always ask this question when we are busy attacking our foreign brothers who go to this shaft because their grandparents were working there and they were working there and they continue to mine the minerals that are there. Did you guys give the Oppenheimers the right to mine in our country? Who gave the Beers, the right to mine in our country? Anglo-American, all of these big mining companies, who gave them the mining rights? Is what they are doing not illegal to us as African people? And they are doing it everywhere in Africa, by the way. So I don't buy this thing of you guys saying, no, illegal miners. We know, me and you, deep down, we know who the illegal miners are in our country. They are still mining in our country. Their great children are still benefiting from all of those mines, and you guys don't want to touch them because they've got the complexion of protection. So Yengeni not having hearts for him to say, no, the Constitution protects criminals. Yes, our Constitution does protect criminals. The criminals, the big mining companies are the criminals that are stealing our minerals. Not these ones that are doing this manga black market mining. By the way, after they mine them out there, they sell them back to the original people, which is the colonizers who are stealing us, because they can't sell it anywhere else. They must sell it to well-established, certificate, qualified and whatever mining companies. They must sell it to them, because there's no way to take these diamonds and mines and golds too. You understand what I'm saying? So as a black person, please search yourself. This thing when other black people passed away, hustling, hustling, and you say, I've got no sympathy for them because they are stealing. No. When you say king, these people, when they get their mind, they come to our community and they abuse and they rape and whatever. That's a different conversation. We are talking about, you can't paint all of those miners under one brush. You can't do that. They are honest, working African fathers, brothers there underground, trying to do the little that they can for their family. And of course, it is mixed with the criminal element to it. But the criminal element is found in any business in South Africa. You find it in the police, you find it in the army, you find it everywhere. There's no way where you don't find people who just paint the organization or the department as criminal. You understand what I'm saying? So let me leave that one there. Let me go to Tonny Yengeni. Speaking about the problem of the ANC losing voters, and that many of them, they were not shocked to see the ANC drop under 50%.
And many members of the ANC are shocked. I mean, you hear, every day they express their shock about the decline.
Yeah.
From 57% to 40%. Some of us were not particularly shocked. You could see it coming. That's why myself was saying to the president, Mr. President, no, don't do this. Please withdraw the thing. Because I could see the impact that is going to have on the general membership and the general populace. Imagine a CEO of a bank stands up one day and say, my bank is number one accused in stealing people's money, number one in corruption. What do you think is going to happen to that bank? Do you think that people who are clients of that bank are going to have that confidence in the bank to keep their money in that bank? No, it's not going to happen. So I'm saying that it's something that we need to. That's why I feel that the problems of the ANC, to a large extent, are self-inflicted. They come from within.
Absolutely.
It's not this notion that Zuma is the problem or Julius Malema is the problem. These are counter-revolutionaries that put us to where we are. Now they're even including Solima Paila in the mix. I think it's a misnomer.
I like what Tonny Yengeni said, that this is a self-inflicted problem for the ANC to have went underneath 50%, and they have not stopped. By the way, they continuously still self-inflict these problems amongst themselves, especially when it comes to Fikile Mbalula, when it comes to Colin Malachi, when it comes to Pala Pala FM and all of those things. It's like the ANC does not want to wake up. There are fights with their, strategic partners, their alliance partners. That's what I mean, and all of those things. It's like they deliberately killing the ANC. Deliberately. My problem is when you have people like about Tonny, who worked in about people like about Chris Hani, who are in the trenches, who are in exile with our Chris Hani, fighting and learning the way of winning back our country. Why are these people allowing this to happen in front of them, knowing the type of person that Cyril Ramaphosa is? Why are they allowing it? Tokyo Sehwale, and all of these people who are there in prison with Abu Mandela and all of those people, they are so quiet. They are so quiet, allowing this to continue. Now, guys, it's not a wish to see the ANC die, but they are doing a fantastic job killing the party themselves. especially the top six, the people who are supposed to be steering this political party into a right direction. Abo Gwede Mantashe absolutely adds no more value to the ANC. No more value to the ANC. Fikile Mbalula deducts value from the ANC. Cyril Ramaphosa does nothing to make South Africans feel comfortable of voting this party again when he leaves. You understand what I'm saying? That pala cloud will always hang over his head up until the day he dies. People will be speaking about pala. It's not going to leave him. The courts can protect him, the public protector can protect him, but he's not going to be able to escape this. Even with death, we'll be speaking about it. You understand what I'm saying? So, Tina, we don't know what to say about it. And you see Fikile Mbalula, who blatantly attacks Tonny for having a different political view or differing with some things, but then he attacks him in public. And this is how Tonny Yengeni replied to that attack from Fikile Mbalula.
Of course, I'm sure you will have seen, I don't believe you've commented on it yet, but the current Secretary General, Fikile Mbalula, came out quite, I'll use my words, you don't have to agree with them, but quite viciously against you. I actually have the clip here, and I wanted to just play it so that I get the wording right. We'll put it up for our audience. I'm sure you've seen it already.
Yeah.
But
Yengeni is nothing else but a political Casanova. And he is spewing vagrant political views and views that are embraced by a few malcontents who are opposed to the ANC. He will be charged. I've informed him through an SMS. I called him. We will charge him. We'll bring him before the disciplinary processes of the ANC.
I'll leave it there. It carries on for a bit. How do you respond? How do you respond to that?
Well, firstly, it was a shock to me to hear him speaking like that. Because you see, Mbalula, I consider him a friend. It might sound strange, but he is a friend of mine.
Sure.
I consider him as a brother. I consider him as a comrade. We come a long way. But he has done that before. It's not the first time that he has called me names in public. But I've never done it myself in response or at any other time. Because I don't think that's the way to deal with each other, no matter the differences between us. I think, and I've said that to him. I've met him several times, and I said to him,
right,
Max, we may differ politically about all sorts of things, including about Cyril. We can differ, it's fine. But I think we must retain our comradeship and our friendship and our brotherhood, despite all these political differences. Because you cannot lead an organization as big as the ANC through slander, through vitriol, through insults, name calling. Yes, you should be firm in terms of asserting discipline, but it must be done with respect. I'm not Mbalula's age group. I'm far, far older than Mbalula. And I respect him for his leadership in the ANC as SG. That's why, even if he was not a leader, I would not name call him in public. That's not what I think is the correct thing to do.
let me say, for a 70-year-old, Tonny Yengeni looks great, guys. Yeah? For 70-year-old looking like that. I mean, the man looks, he looks in his 50s. He looks in his 50s. He looks in his 40s. You know what I'm saying? He must tell us what is he drinking, because nothing soon we pose at that thing. But anyway, listen to the level of maturity that guy has. Yeah, beating Abu Fikile Mbalula with laughter. No, man, I consider Fikile as a friend. I consider him as a brother. For him to have done this, and this is not the first time. It's like he's making Fikile Mbalula a clown. Because Fikile Mbalula is going to come out again and attack Tonny again. Because Fikile Mbalula, there is nothing here. There is nothing here. That is the man who's going to be responsible for placing the final nail. By nail, we mean the ANC getting underneath 30%. He's going to be the one who's going to put that final nail in the coffin of the ANC and begin the funeral arrangement for the ANC. He's that man, unfortunately. So Tonny said something. We may differ, guys, politically, and I see that South Africans, and he does, spread it loud, widely to the South African political space, to Africa, and even in the world. People can't stand it when you differ with them politically. When you are a podcaster, it's even difficult. Well, not difficult really, because you can swear at us on the comment section. We understand that this is the type of generation that we have. Abu Fikile Mbalula, on the comment section. How when we are when a king, Puma CIC, how when Ujoelem Konto, Amasimba, you EFF agent, you MK agent. That is what we get each and every day as content creators. People can't stand it when you have a different opinion from them. That is the sickness that we have, especially in South African politics. That we as black people, because we are in different political regalias, different political ideology, then it means we are enemies. It means we are enemies. But when you ask us what do we want the same thing. We want to mhlaba, we want to amend the constitution, we want to nationalize our minerals, we want we want to chase out Africans from our schools, we want to liberate our people, we want to close down Orania. All of us want that. But because we are in different political spaces and understanding, we are enemies as black people. And that is what Abu Fikile Mbalula don't understand. There are people in the ANC that don't agree with the stance of the government of national confusion. They just can't accept. Hey, but we went this direction. It hurts them, especially people like Abu Tonny. These are veterans of the ANC, serious veterans of the ANC, and look how Fikile Mbalula treats them. And you see it, man. You see it. You see it from the EFF followers. You see it from the MK followers. You see it from the ANC followers, not so much, but you see it. You see it from the DA followers. This is an attack. Why? Because we are differing politically. But continue. I mean, I say as long as you watch the videos and you differ with me on the comment section, it's okay. But when you do insulting and naming, name dropping, and all of those things, slanders and all of those things, for me, it just shows me I'm dealing with someone who's not yet matured in politics. Because I've dealt with EFF and MK people. When you talk to them, their reasoning capacity persuades you from the thoughts that you have. Like when after they speak, you're like, oh, actually, I know, I hear you. I missed that one. You become humble in the learning thing. But once people go as far as attacking someone's family. Where do you guys know how a family is from? Attacking your family. So Tonny Yengeni, 70 years old, Fikile Mbalula, 53 years old. You have absolutely no business calling Tonny Yengeni such a legend in our political space that he's a political Casanova. You have absolutely no place doing that. And let's not learn these bad manners from our leaders. There's many of our leaders who do that. I'm not going to name them. You guys know who I'm talking about. But thank you so much, guys, for tuning in on King Said So. I'm going to drop probably 2 bangers for you today. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything that you guys are doing for the Pan-African School of Economics, Technology and Agriculture. That is a project that is very close to my heart for us as African people to build a school for the next generation. That's my life purpose. I'm going to live my life trying to see that school stand and see us opening that school. Thank you so much, guys. Until we meet again, don't forget to pray. But after you pray, stand up, African child. Do your best so that God can do the rest. Peace, Pan-Africanism. I salute you.